Well, we're live here on Wednesday. Joe Rayo and Joe Chaffee on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, 7:01 p.m. Eastern Time. So, a big welcome to everybody that's on the chat board tonight. And I'm about to just sending out a notification out on my app to welcome those of you who are on the meteorologist Joe Chaffee weather app, who will be watching live tonight, which you can do. Sometimes I wait for after the show is over to send the notification out of the video. But today I just said, you know what, let's get everybody involved.
Why
I'm
not?
gonna go ahead.
No, I said, why not?
Why not? I must tell you, this morning I got up. It was so cold. I've just had enough. It's just make it go away, will you please?
It's
It's
not happening.
it was. So, I mean, I didn't walk today because it was too cold, and I the cold doesn't bother me as much. But if there's any kind of wind, and it was every bit of 15 to 25 here all day with gusts into the 30s, I'm not walking in that. I'm just not.
Somebody asked me today, I think it was Dennis Cassia. In fact, I know it was Dennis Cassia. It was a couple of hours ago. He said, could I ask a question? He says, why was it that they had a wind advisory, they being the weather service, they had a wind advisory posted for late yesterday and last night when there really wasn't all that much wind to write home about. And now today, he said it was blowing like crazy where he lived in Connecticut. And I said, why didn't they have any kind of an advisory for that? I said, well,
Who
it fell,
knows?
it fell below the criteria
Whatever
for.
their criteria is. Now, of course, I don't know if you saw this, and my buddy Russell Monaco sent me an email alerting me to this. But the Weather Service came out with a public information statement from Upton, because I didn't know that this existed, but now we have what's called a Gustnado.
A what?
A Gustnado.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
yeah. One of the young guys I follow on Twitter, Mark Franz, tweeted about this morning, and I read it. And I was like, "What is a Gustnado? I've never heard this before."
I've never heard.
Video evidence indicates a gustnado occurred over the Harlem River around 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon on Tuesday, April 21st, 2020. The gustnado was filmed moving over the Harlem River south of the Broadway Bridge that connects northern Manhattan and the Bronx, and
I know.
has an L running over it, by the way, as the number
Right.
one train. Um, Before dissipating over the Bronx shoreline, north of Fordham Road, right next to Alexander's. um, let's see, radar velocity estimates and a mesonet observation of 71 miles per hour from Fordham in the Bronx indicates estimated straight line wind speeds of 70 to 75 miles an hour.
Now, was this the thing that induced them, looking on the radar, that induced them to issue a tornado warning?
Yes, I'm sure that's what I'm sure.
Right.
A gustnado is a small whirlwind which forms as an eddy in a thunderstorm in thunderstorm outflows. They do not connect with any cloud-based rotation and are not tornadoes. Since their origin is associated with cumuliform clouds, gustnados are officially classified as thunderstorm wind events by the National Weather Service. Like dust devils, the stronger gustnados can cause damage.
Oh dear.
So now
Yeah.
we have something new to worry about.
Well, I remember there was a term that is not really used anymore. It was in vogue back in the 70s, the neuter cane.
Oh, the neuter cane, yeah,
Remember that?
yeah, I
So now,
did.
so now we have the gustnado.
Now we have the gustnado. So Gustnado for those of you. Meanwhile, I don't know if you saw the pictures of what went on down in Tom's River. I mean, there was
Right.
a lot of damage there. I have not seen anything from Mount Holly. They must be knitting away right now or something, or just passing the time. You know, just like me, I got my little glass of wine here. So, but maybe if when they get around to it, they could let us know whether that was straight line wind damage or not. I'm guessing that it was straight. And by the way, boys at Mount Holly, I'm only kidding. Okay, I'm just having fun with you. All right, otherwise you're going to shut me down. Um, the I mean, it looks like straight line wind from the pictures, but you know who knows? You can only tell so much from a photograph.
Right, right. Well, it might be that because of the COVID-19 that they, do they usually send just one person out to make this
You know,
call
that's
or
a good point. I didn't
several?
even think about that. I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I got to ask His Eminence Terrence Cardinal Goodman from the Upton office. Uh, I know he's gone a couple of times, and I'm thinking maybe he did go by himself.
That's
Uh,
that's that's a lot to be put on one man's shoulder or one woman's shoulder is to go and make the call as to whether or not it was indeed a tornado or straight line winds or a microburst or whatever. You'd like to have somebody to bounce your opinions off of.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's two of them. Maybe it's a team. I know. I will ask His Eminence when I'll message him later.
Well, I mean that Tom's River, whatever it was the top story last night. The first story I know on ABC 7 at 11 o'clock, and you could see the giant trees that were brought down and noon on our daytime show, telling everybody why this was not the type of a weather system that would spawn a tornado. So what are you going to do?
I know. It's. I thought about that yesterday morning before all this happened, and I thought, you know what, should I maybe, it's one of those things. It shouldn't have spawned rotation. Meanwhile, remember the day before, SPC didn't even have a chance of hail. Remember
Right, right.
on Monday
Right. The only thing that SPC had for this event were the winds. They did not have hail, and my assumption is that the reason why they didn't have hail is when they have hail, it might be something on the order of what, a quarter or a half inch or 1 inch, large hail or
yeah,
whatever.
so maybe it
And
didn't
the
meet
hail,
that
and the hail that
minimum
we saw
criteria.
and the hail we saw yesterday, as was the case at Mineola, where my brother-in-law lives, and also up in Norwalk, not Norwalk, Westport, Connecticut, where Lonnie Quinn took a video. It was all like rock salt. I mean, like the pea-sized type hail. I
Right.
don't know what that falls into the criteria of, severe. I guess not.
I don't. I yeah. It's one of those questions I'll have to write down and ask to find out. Meanwhile, we've got a severe weather going on tonight in parts of Oklahoma and Texas that looks fairly widespread. And the Storm Prediction Center at the moment, Mr. Rayo, has two count them, two working tornado watches that are in play in northeast, in East Texas into parts of Louisiana and Arkansas. And it looks like they just kind of expanded this one watch there. If you watch the loop there from their map, the boundaries of that tornado watch kind of push up to the northeast, and then you have the one that's up in North Texas and heads up into Oklahoma. That might include the Dallas Fort Worth area. I'll have to give that a closer look. So far today, two tornadoes, 10 wind events, and 49 reports of hail so far today. I'm just going to go look back to yesterday and see what we got from yesterday. Yesterday, officially, zero tornadoes, 84 wind reports, and 68 reports of hail. So I'm pretty busy from the standpoint of at least some severe thunderstorms, anyway.
Yeah. Well, this was, may I say, an atypical type of scenario yesterday that we had. I mean, it comes up every once in a while, but it was not
Oh,
your
because of the
usual
deep that deep
standard.
trough with the deep upper
Yeah,
troughs. Yeah,
right,
you
right.
you don't see that too often. Well, you see it every once in a while. You know,
Every once in a while,
right?
yeah.
And just the fact that there was the sheer absence of any kind of real tropical air coming up the eastern seaboard. You didn't have those really juicy dew points like they do down in Texas right now. We'll take a look at those in a minute. But the Storm Prediction Center is working on this particular risk area tonight with that slight to enhanced risk covering a lot of geography there in the western Gulf and in through the southern plains. Now, tomorrow, as the low comes out of there and heads across the Ohio Valley, we can swing the risk area back to the southeast again, and it's going to be an enhanced risk from extreme southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi, northeast to most of North Carolina under enhanced risk, and of course that includes everybody in between, Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, Georgia, most of Georgia in enhanced risk, just about all of South Carolina in enhanced risk, and a good chunk of North Carolina. And then marginal risk goes up into Virginia to about Richmond, touching maybe Wallops Island in south of the end of Delmarva. And then pushing it on to day 3, which is Friday into Saturday morning. Marginal risk across the lower Mississippi Valley, marginal risk across much of the state of Florida except the Panhandle, and not much else going on anywhere else. So going to be tonight. We've got a busy situation here, and there's our upper trough, Mr. Rayo, in the east, still over us, which accounts for the fact that it was windy and cold for most of the day. That's going to start to lift out, and then you got this next short wave that is very well defined in the southern stream. And I have to tell you, just looking at the overall pattern here, Ms. Joe, it's this pattern would have had winter weather lovers salivating, even if it was back as far as close as maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. It would have been they would have been salivating because it's all there. It's just a matter of whether they how the lows track. But it's April 22nd, so it's a done deal.
Right. It's April 22nd. It is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and I find that very appropriate because if you look at the 7-day forecast for our area, the tri state area, you will see that the weather over the next 7 days, again, today is Earth Day, but the next 7 days, the weather is going to treat us like dirt, so to
Yeah,
speak.
and leave us muddy.
Oh,
Maybe
it's
yeah,
terrible.
yeah. Not. Are you back with me, Joe? Yeah, you're back.
Yeah,
I get
I'm
that's a
here.
that's a second internet hit that I've taken tonight. Um, I'm sorry, I completely forgot what I was saying. Oh, it's not that it's going to be raining straight through, but we've got 3 storm systems beginning with the first one on Thursday to carry us through 7 days. There might be some dry stretches in between each storm system, but they're going to be very, very short in terms of duration. So this might be the last full sunny day we may have until next Monday.
Well, we're going to have, I think, a dry day on Saturday, but maybe not quite as pristine as what we had out there for much of the day today. And yeah, wet and dreary for Friday, especially, and for Sunday, and maybe even for the middle of next week on Wednesday. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And here's a satellite loop tonight, well defined rotation there going on in the upper atmosphere back over western Oklahoma. So there's your mechanism with a developing low and potential for severe thunderstorms. Take a look at this 2 o'clock surface map, everybody, because this is really juicy here. Dew points all across Texas, all in the upper 60s to mid 70s. I mean, this is really just absolutely saturated air that goes clear down into South Texas. I don't know what observation that is. I, I don't think that's San Antonio, but somebody down there in South Texas, west of Corpus Christi, is 98 today.
Oh,
That's 98 with a dew point of 70.
that's to the north of Brownsville, I guess, right?
Well, it's a little bit further north than that. It's actually whatever that town is. It's not San Antonio. It's west southwest of Corpus Christi, but I'm not sure what it is. But it's cooking there. And but the bottom line is, you can see even the obs in the Gulf of Mexico, where you got temperatures in the low 80s and dew points in the middle, and even some upper 70 dew points, and south southeast winds. So that tropical air is just shooting up, and also moving into Louisiana, where it was in the low 80s at 2 o'clock this afternoon, with dew points pushing up into the upper 60s. Uh, this is a pretty solid warm sector. There's your low. in Oklahoma, uh, getting ready to shoot out to the east with its trailing cold front. The dew points back in West Texas, all down in the 40s and 30s. I mean, really bone, even to the dew points down in the teens back in West Texas. So that's very dry air that is back there pushing eastward into that really, really moist tropical air ahead of it. So you've got the table set here for a pretty sizable round of severe weather tonight, and the radar is fairly loaded as well as of 7:16 Eastern time.
Right, right. Excuse me, having a little trouble with my throat here. But the main thing about all of this unsettled weather that you've just spoke about, Joe, is that the convection, the heavy activity apparently is going to stay, at least as it looks to us right now, mostly to our south, and we'll be dealing with
More the
showers.
overrun, more the overrunning rain for us.
Well, yeah, yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about like the potential, like what we had yesterday. I mean, in terms of potential active weather, thunderstorms, damaging winds, possibly a gustnado, a gust. What did you say?
A
Gustnado?
Gustnado.
A gustnado. I mean, all of that kind of weather pretty well is out of the picture for us. We're just going to remain in a drab, dreary, as you just pointed out, overrunning pattern where we'll have periods of rain, probably areas of patchy fog, clouds, drizzle, and also unseasonably chilly weather. I mean, here at the house today, in spite of sunshine, still didn't get any higher than 48 degrees, and my normal high at this time of the year should be around 65. 48, and
I know
it
the
normally
on,
is 65. That's
and now we're
17
now, but
degrees.
now and now we're going to deal with the onshore flow,
Yeah,
which is always a killer.
raw.
It could be a few into the 50s. It'll feel like it's down in the low 40s. It'll just have that raw feel to it. Now, what did you think? I don't know. Did you look at the European today? Because I did notice that the
I
European,
did.
yeah, the European seems to, and I'll pull that up. Let me bring it up now. I'll use the wider view here. Hang on one second. The models all have these three weather systems. The European seems to continue to want to show at least the idea that these surface lows are going to wind up passing to the south of New Jersey and Long Island. Here's the first one, which by tomorrow morning is up in northern Arkansas. It's a little bit slower on this particular run, but it gets getting rain into the Northeast late in the afternoon and tomorrow night from Northeast Virginia to Southern New England, and then of course by Friday morning there's a low in West Virginia that shoots out east of New Jersey and goes out. You can see the onshore flow that sets up the high that's to the north, right up here. You get this is all high pressure that's up in Canada that's building down, and you're getting this northeast flow. The surface flow goes out underneath us. The Europeans seem to, on the overnight run and also even on the day run, and this is the next one for Saturday night and Sunday. Low goes to West Virginia. Looks like it redevelops off the Virginia coast and moves out. Onshore flow. Big high up in Quebec, eastern Quebec there. Looks like a 1039 high if I'm reading that number right, or do I need blue glasses? I don't know. To a 1033. 2833. It's a 33. So the gradient actually gets fairly tight here for a little while Saturday night and the Sunday morning. Then that goes out. We get a little bit of a break later Monday into Tuesday. Then it's got another low that moves from Chicago to Long Island by Wednesday. The GFS is a little bit further north. I kind of think these all three of these systems could wind up passing south and east of New England, which is going to mean that we're going to be miserable for much of the time.
Well, the European that I'm looking at, unless you're talking about for next Wednesday, they definitely have a primary low almost on Chicago by
Yeah,
12Z Wednesday.
and then by 12Z Thursday, it's right over Long Island.
Let me see. Hang on. Well,
Well,
yeah.
there's one low in upstate New York because the isobar is still bagged over there.
Right,
So there's
right.
probably a flow with a front on it, a point of occlusion, and a secondary that forms that eventually takes over.
and I'm looking at accumulated precipitation. And late Wednesday night into Thursday morning, the European is suggesting, in some cases, Long Island on up into New England, something like 1 to 1.5 inches of rain with
Well,
that system.
well, just with that system.
Just
Okay,
with that system.
right, because I'm looking at the GFS 7 day. If I take the GFS 7 day rainfall amount, it's on the order of about 2 to 3 or even 2 to 4 inches from Missouri across Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and through much of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and on up into New England. Uh, but that's three weather systems added together, working out to about 3 or maybe 4 inches worth of rain. Well, which, when you think about it, probably makes a lot of sense. I don't think there'll be too much controversy with that sort of a forecast. If you're talking about three solid weather systems, and indeed, uh, that's what you're going to have, I think. And I'm looking at the upper air here. Here's your first short wave. And it's just, I look at this, Joe. I get annoyed. I just get annoyed because of the fact of the way the pattern is. Hang on, let me make sure I got you got the map full screen, which I do. But this is our system coming out tonight. You can see that northern part of the jet, the trough in the east, is pulling out. You're still getting action coming in from the Pacific into the west, and then that first trough lifts up into the northeast, and you can already see here's the second one right behind it, late Friday coming out of the plains, and then that moves to the East Coast. And here's your system now for Sunday, which actually kind of cuts off a little bit there in Ohio before it lifts out. And then here comes the next one, which is going to be here for Wednesday. So it's one after another, and eventually this pattern is going to break down, but we may have to wait a little bit. Just going to run through the upper air. It looks like, I mean, after day 10, it looks like the trough in the east does pull out to an extent. So maybe that's when we'll catch a break. But we're talking about around after May 3rd or 4th here for that to
Well,
happen.
the Climate Prediction Center still has on both their 6 to 10 and their 8 to 14 day outlook. They still have us in a 2 out of 3 probability for below normal temperatures, about 65, 66% here in our area. So, what else can I tell you except that if you're waiting for warm weather, if you're waiting for spring conditions, it ain't happening. It doesn't look like, at least for the next couple of weeks.
No, I agree. I totally agree. Just going to bring up the surface map here, and we'll take a look at this. Oh, what a mess. So here's our southern plains low. Of course, tomorrow we're talking about, again, that severe weather threat in the southeast from Louisiana all the way up into North Carolina. That's where your weather front is. Here's your low, and you've got this trailing cold front and warm front that's going to be trying to push up into that high that you see in eastern Canada. The low only can get so far. It gets shunted out to the east. You see the rain that it produces up into Pennsylvania during tomorrow afternoon, reaches New York City tomorrow evening, reaches Boston probably before midnight, and then that pulls out later Friday. The GFS is taking a little longer to pull this out, Joe. It has rain for much of the day Friday into Friday night. It's got it brings the upper low underneath us, so it keeps it shows more rain. Then we catch a break for a short time on Saturday. Rain's back here by Saturday evening. The GFS wants to take that low more to the north. I don't know if that's right. I think it might be too far north. I kind of like the Europeans' idea of keeping everything more suppressed.
Yeah, Joe, does it make any difference?
No, it really doesn't. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it really doesn't make a difference. It's apples and oranges. So, by the way, we're back full screen now because I think we've run through the weather that's going on tonight. Mr. Briller was raging with fever, 103 plus last night. I think he said it was, but it's dropped down now, so he is recovering very rapidly. It's not the coronavirus. He just It's come down with some some other kind of bug. But I gave him a quick, easy recipe for chicken soup that his mom made for him, and he said it tasted really good and he feels better. It's the first food that he's been able to take down for the last couple of days, and he's hoping that he will be back tomorrow. So we wish him well.
We wish him well indeed. Always good to have Scott back on board. Um, did we have a stand-in from Mr. Dunn?
Oh yes, and oh yes, Timothy Veltman sent in um, tonight's uh, 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 Veltman Jeopardy question. Actually, he sent two. I've been waiting for this all day. Okay, so are you ready?
Yes.
All right, so stand by. There's two of them. They're both very interesting questions. And of course, it's taking forever for the. So I thought I preloaded the page, and I guess I did not. So just give me a moment. Everybody be patient. So here we go. First off, okay. The category is animated cartoons.
Okay.
And the answer is Gene Deitch. Gene Deitch, the at the age of 96. Throughout the cartoon's run from 1940 until now, this many versions of the animated short were illustrated and produced.
This many versions, but she only did this, or the person you
Gene,
mentioned,
yes.
it's
He
a
only
he.
did it for 1 year, 61 to 62. So
But you're
how,
asking,
but
and
there,
how many?
how
You're
many,
asking for how many
how
versions?
many different versions of Tom and Jerry were produced in its since 1940?
Well, I think one of the animators was Chuck Jones uh,
Okay, that could
at
be. Yes, I think you're
one
right.
time.
Yes.
Um, how many versions? I'll say four.
You're half right. It's
Eight?
it's eight.
Wow.
William Hanna and Joseph Barbera made 114 episodes between 1940 and 1957 for MGM Studios. Gene Deitch of Rembrandt Films created 13 episodes from 1961 to 62 when MGM decided to revive the series. Chuck Jones created 34 episodes from 1963 to 67 in his studio, which is when the pair got their classic Looney Tune-esque style.
Right.
The Tom and Jerry Show was the next reincarnation by Hanna-Barbera in 1975 and again in 1975-77 with 48 new episodes and a reduction in violence due to the new strict FCC rules for kids. Filmation Studios took over from 1980 to 82, expanded roles for other characters like Droopy Dog, Barney the Bear, and Spike the Dog. Tom and Jerry's Kids ran from 1990 to 94. Warner Brothers revised Tom and Jerry's Tales in 2006 and 2008 for 13 half-hour shows. In 2014 to now, Warner Brothers is back at the helm of the Tom and Jerry Show.
Isn't that amazing that they
I
bounced?
think I think it's more amazing that Timothy Veltman took the time to write all this out. I really did. So now here's the second one, and it's weather
You know,
related.
this almost sounds like the $64,000 question. I'm on the 32,000, and if I got all of those things right with the eight and the Hanna Barbera and the Warner Brother, and then you come chiming in and says, "All right, you got the first part right.
Exactly,
Here's the second part."
exactly. All right, so here's the one. The category is called the Golden Snowball. Okay, the
Okay.
Golden Snowball. The answer is the Golden Snowball Award is a contest between 5 cities in central and upstate New York. The contest is based on which city receives the most snowfall for the season. They include Albany, Buffalo, Binghamton, Rochester, and Syracuse.
Right.
Since the winter of 1950-51, or for the last 69 season, Syracuse has won the award this many times.
Oh, I thought it was going to be something relatively easy, like one of the five cities that are in the contest, or
No,
five
bless
cities have won
Timothy's
the
heart.
most times.
Bless Timothy's heart. He could have done that, but instead he went the torturous route.
Okay, so 1951. So that means we're talking about something like 68 years. And you
69,
want to know
69 seasons.
69 seasons, and how many times has Syracuse won that title?
Right.
Seems to me like they always win. Um,
Well, they are the snowy. Is it Syracuse like the snowiest city in the country or something?
I'm not sure about that, but I know that it seems like every time they give that award out, it's always Syracuse winning. I'll say 45.
Oh my God! I should have given you a range. I would have said get it to within five. You would have gotten it.
What is it?
49.
What is it like? The Price is Right?
Well, you didn't go. Well, no, by Price is Right rules, you didn't go over.
I did go over,
No, you
so
did not go over because if but then you would have had somebody to compete against that would have had
right.
to up your bid by one. Uh,
Would have been like the Showcase Showdown, right?
right, exactly, exactly. Spin that
But
wheel, get a dollar, and get a win.
you know, but I would assume the average person, the minute that person hears Buffalo, would automatically assume, oh, it's got to be Buffalo. You
But
don't
it's
think about
not
Syracuse.
because Buffalo. The wind has got to be just right for them. I mean, it's in a way, it's almost like feast or famine there in terms of what they get with lake effect, because
Right,
their wind is a west southwest wind that really brings in the big snows, and that's a little bit of an odd setup for them. Not that it's rare. I'm not saying that at all, but uh, yeah, Syracuse, because of where they're located off the south shore of Lake Ontario, or just south of the south shore of Lake Ontario, and that lake is really wide, going long, going east west. They're in a better geographic place. I would have thought it would
right.
have been either them or Rochester, but definitely Syracuse does pretty well. I
Well, I
think
thank, I thank,
what do they average, like 120 inches a year, something like that?
off the top of my head, I'm really not, too keen on specifics, but I think believe it or not, of the five cities that you mentioned, Binghamton, Syracuse, and Buffalo, and Rochester. Um, did you throw Albany in that
Yeah,
one?
Albany's in part of
Albany
the.
never wins, or if they do win, they win every
eh,
once in a great while.
yeah, yeah. It's got to be a rare
For
setup
Albany,
for
for
Albany to win.
Albany, of those five cities, for Albany to win, it would have to be based more, I think, on synoptic uh, weather patterns as opposed to lake effect. They get hit like with maybe a few good nor'easters or whatever. Well, like a situation like they had on December 1st, where they got 22 in one sitting,
Right.
and little did they know that was all they're gonna. Little did they know that sitting had to last them for the whole winter.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so look, let's call it a night. We had a busy day yesterday, and I'm still mentally fried.
Yeah,
I don't know about you. I'm still mentally fried. We'll wait to see if Mount Holly lets us know about the Tom's River severe weather yesterday. I'm guessing it's got to be straight line wind damage, but we'll see what they come up with.
right. So other than that,
I'm
not
sorry.
much
Say
more to
again,
say.
Joe.
And tomorrow we'll tell everybody again about all the gloom that's going to be hitting us for the coming days ahead.
Yes,
In fact,
gloom,
we'll be in the gloom tomorrow.
gloom and doom, gloom and doom.
Yep.
That's what it shall be. All right, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow. Everybody, thanks for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. And of course, we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So, say la vie. Good night, everybody.
Cecil Gary.